friends, it's Mari here with episode number 13 of Tried, Trendy, and True. Today I'm going to be sharing a scrapbooking process with you today that was inspired by my border punches. Now I do have a lot of punches in my stash, and specifically I have quite a few border punches. I have more than I'm showing here, but I just wanted to show there's a large variety of border punches out there. I particularly really like scallop punches, and I'm going to use a scallop punch to create some embellishments today for my project. Now I'm also going to be using this beautiful paper from Simple Stories Simple Vintage Weathered Garden. I fussy cut a paper just like this one here that you can see on the screen. I had 2 sheets of this paper just because it's so beautiful, and I just went ahead and I fussy cut the paper to create all of these beautiful floral embellishments that I'm going to match up with and use with my scallop embellishments that I create with that border punch. So here you can just see there's tons of florals that are yielded from cutting out all of those different little bits from that paper. And now you can just see how pretty these look as a horizontal line across this cardstock that's also part of that same Simple Stories collection. So I just kind of bounced the different floral pieces through the center of the paper horizontally. And then my idea for the design was to create sort of an embellishment focal point on the bottom portion of the paper using one of these 2 punches. I did decide to use the doily punch there, and I'm also going to be using this beautiful plaid paper from Simple Stories from that same collection. It has a beautiful floral on one side and then this just gorgeous textured looking, really distressed looking plaid. I love this paper so much. This collection is so my style, and I just loved using it for this project. Now here you can just see how easy it is to create an embellishment with these punches, with a border punch, just by simply creating a strip with your punch, just by taking that horizontal 12-inch edge of your paper and going ahead and adding that scallop detail to it just by punching it. I started in the center of the paper so that the border punch is even on each end by the time you punch out the whole edge. And here you can see that I've also punched out another paper here from that collection, this one here that I'm going to show you. I just thought that it was a nice contrast with that plaid and also with the florals. And so you can see here I've just punched out a bunch of these strips and trimmed them out, and now they're ready to go ahead and adhere onto my paper. Now what I want to do is alternate these patterns, starting with the plaid and then going to the floral pattern paper, then the plaid, and so on and so forth. And I just wanted that plaid up against my fussy cut floral pieces that are going to be in that horizontal line. So I started with that one when I was laying them out. Now I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit of tape runner here, is just a little bit of adhesive to the back of each one of these strips, and I'm going to adhere them to my cardstock. Now I did want to make sure that I get these on here straight. That's going to be really important, obviously. And so I do use my ruler as well as the lines on that plaid paper to help me achieve getting these on here so that they are perfectly straight and look really nice on the layout when it's all finished. So you can just see I'm just going to use my ruler. I do have to reposition the paper just a tiny little bit to make sure that it's on there straight. And that's the beauty of using a little bit of repositionable tape runner when you're adding something like this, so that it's not down there permanently when you put the paper on. And I don't press on the papers really firmly until I have them well in place so that they're nice and straight and good to go. Now I've got those all on there. You can see the nice texture that adds and the beautiful detail. I totally love that. This look is really great with this classy collection from Simple Stories. It is just really, really pretty. So I really wanted to put this large fussy cut piece kind of more or less in the main area where my photos are going to go. And then I'm going to use these edge pieces that I fussy cut off the edge of the paper right up against the edge of my cardstock here when I'm layering these beautiful fussy cut flowers onto the project. So you can just see I'm using those just to kind of help me get an idea of where I want to place things with these florals. And I'm going to pop some of the florals up on foam adhesive just to add that layering detail to the project. So here you can just see I've got some foam squares on this beautiful large piece. I'm going to lay that down here, and then I'll alternate flat and bumped up with the foam with the different pieces of florals that I add to the project. So I'm going to go ahead and use my repositionable adhesive for the pieces that are just flat to the page. And then of course use those foam squares where I need to add that extra dimension. Super easy process. A layout does come together super fast. A project comes together super fast when you are using these border punches. And then of course the fussy cut pieces, these beautiful large florals, just make this all come together so nicely. So I'm going to just add that piece there and get those added on. And I just really wanted to make sure that I had sort of like some large and small florals on here as well. So I will be adding a couple of other smaller florals into this area as well. These two 4x3 photos are just the perfect color palette for this collection. And I love these two photos of my daughter and her husband. They're just really pretty. And I've used different photos from this photo shoot in an album that I have created for them. And I think this photo shoot included, I don't even know, like something like 1,000 different photos or something. It was hundreds and possibly even up to 1,000. It was tons of photos. So I have lots and lots to choose from. So you can just see, I'm going to put them kind of on an angle with each other over in that area. And now what I wanted to do was just take the edges of the scallop border pieces and just lift them up a little bit so that they do have a little bit more dimension on the layout. So I'm just folding them up a little bit. And I also added a little line of machine stitching on that bottom scallop border piece there. So you can just see, I'm just going to continue to pull those up and just kind of like bend without bending, just lift them up and curl them, so that they look almost kind of like lace on the bottom of the layout. I love that look. I think it's so pretty. Just going to finish up with that and get that all nice and textured. And it does actually stay like that. It doesn't fall back down again. So I was happy with how that looked. So now I'm going to take that same plaid paper and I'm just going to tear a little curved piece off of the top edge. And you can just see that I'm tearing it up so that the white core of the paper shows. And I'm also going to just fold that torn edge of the paper up a little bit. And then I wanted to finish that area up at the top and the left with some more of the fussy cut florals, using some of those same pieces again that are from the edges of the paper that I fussy cut, so that in the corner that piece just fits perfectly. And just going to layer some of those pieces up in that area as well to bring that floral motif up to the top and just add some detail to the top of the layout. Super easy to do with these beautiful floral fussy cut pieces. I didn't feel like I needed to add any of my scallop border pieces up at the top, just because I felt like there was enough of that detail at the bottom of the layout. So up here, I'm going to just add a little bit more of that floral, as I said, and repeat that same plaid pattern at the top, just to create a repetitive pattern at the top of the layout with that check. So here you can just see that I'm alternating again some flat pieces with some that are bumped up on the foam, just to create that layered look on the project. And I will just go ahead and finish adhering these down. And then I'm going to also add another tiny little bit of fussy cut floral underneath, just to kind of drop down into that white space a little bit. But I do really like just that little bit of white space that's flowing through the layout horizontally. And I'm going to leave that mostly just blank, which I appreciate as someone looking at the layout, having a little place for my eyes to sort of have a rest. Now, I have taken one of the element cards for my layout for my journaling. So that's the Elements fussy cut paper or cut apart paper from the collection. I really like this one. I love the added polka dot paper to the layout. I think it's just kind of like another fun, nice pattern to add in. And I'm just going to tuck that in under where the photos are. And then that's just going to be the perfect place to add my title and the journaling for the layout. This word loved is one of the foam phrase stickers from the collection. So pretty, and it just works so well. And I love that it's black, so it really pops off the layout nicely. So I'm just going to lay that on there until I'm not really firmly pressing on it until I know that I have it on there really straight. I'm going to fuss with it a little bit here for a couple of seconds. I think I'm even going to bring out my ruler at some point and just make sure that I have that on there straight. So now I just want to make sure, like I said, I'm just going to measure, make sure that's good to go. And always make sure that you are getting things like this on your layout straight. I never fail to have to pull out my ruler because I hate finishing a project and then realizing that I have something on there crooked. These are all of those foam stickers from that foam sticker sheet from the collection. Love that. I love those embellishments. And I wanted to just add a few of these little plaid hearts that match up with that yellow or that kind of, I don't know, sort of a goldy yellow plaid paper. And I'm just going to get those on there in 3 different places. So I've got one up at the top left, and then this one I'm putting in place, and then one down by the title. And I did decide that I wanted to switch those 2 out so that I've got the smaller one up top above the photos and then this larger one by the title there. Now I'm going to add a couple of other little pieces. This is one of the stickers from the sticker book. I actually adhered that to some cardstock and then punched it with my 1-inch hole or circle punch, and I'm going to add that to the bottom of the journaling area there with some foam adhesive. This is another sticker from that sticker sheet. It's just perfect to add as a subtitle there, loved and then always. And then that leaves just enough room there for my journaling strips, which I am going to add onto the project with some foam adhesive. I'm just showing you there, I added a little bit of machine stitching to that plaid paper at the top. Just wanted to trim off a couple of little areas there with my scissors. And now I am ready to add some white splatter, and I will finish off with my journaling strips. This is just some white Dina Wakley paint that's just a liquid paint. I'm going to go ahead and add that on with some splatter, and just looks just adds sort of like a little bit of texture all over everything on the project except the photos. So I've got the photos covered up there, you can see, and just splattering that on to add that little bit of extra detail. I love how that looks on those florals especially, and I'm just going to get just this fine splatter on the project. And once that's finished up, I will, like I said, add that journaling onto the project as well. Now I did type these with my typewriter, and I have cut them into strips. I've added a little bit of foam adhesive strip to the back, and I'm just using my honeybee tweezers here to help me get these in place so that they're nice and straight and sort of like evenly spaced on that journaling card there. Just some really simple journaling for this project to finish it up, and I love how that looks. It just adds that little bit of extra detail on the project. I do always add journaling to my projects. I don't often add the journaling when I'm filming or after. I usually add it after I photograph the project, but on this particular layout, it was just going to be just some general journaling, so I've added that in. This is a sweet little butterfly from the collection from the ephemera pack. I'm going to add that in just as a little bit of extra detail on the layout, adding with some foam adhesive to the side of the photo area, and then I'm going to add a little bit of gold stickles here and there to finish off. Now I do really love the addition of the scallop border strips on this project. I hope it inspires you to get out those trusty punches that you have in your stash. I have been using punches in my paper crafting projects for years and years and years. I love them. Some of the punches I've had for probably 20 years in my stash, and they're just a go-to for me. They're just something that I've tried over and over again, and they're definitely something that I truly love and will continue to love. And I don't think I've ever destashed a punch from my stash. I love them so much. They're just a really trusty tool that I enjoy using. And so you can just see here, just adding a little bit of this gold stickle to the centers of some of the florals and to the center of that butterfly. And that just adds a little bit of sparkle and shine to finish off the layout. I love how this turned out. I think it's just really classy and pretty. It goes so nice with the photos, and I just love that detail and texture of those border punch pieces at the bottom of the project. I do have some still shots for you here as well, and I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you were inspired, and I will see you another time. Have an amazing day, friends. Stay safe, stay well. Bye-bye.